20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
Yep, it's true. I am alive. I am alive. I'm alive. Yep, I'll bet y'all thought I was either abducted, dead, being experimented on by aliens, maybe quit my job, but nope. Because I'll tell you what, I can't go another day without pay. Or wait, with pay. So anyway, Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro, back finally after a 5-day hiatus. A lot's going on in 5 days. Man, I drove to Northwest Arkansas. I did an event for 350 with one of my best friends, Chef Jeff Wetzel, the Cowboy Chef. Drove from there to, back to Dallas, back to Austin. Did a little work, had a little fun, drove back to Dallas, Fort Worth, wherever the heck I am, Haltom City, overlooking the beautiful Mojo River, by the way, in downtown Fort Worth. But I'm back. I am indeed alive, and what's cooking today, Spoonies, as Chef Trey Chapman would say. And hey, by the way, congratulations to Trey Chapman. I'll tell you, he is busting his butt on social media to get traction for his show, Trey's Chowdown Live, which airs here every Friday from 10 to 11. If you haven't watched it live, that's Central Time. And it's a pretty phenomenal show. He has some great chefs. Last week, I believe he had in the culinary team from Twin Peaks. And Twin Peaks, if you've never been there, actually, they have awesome burgers, great beer on tap, stuff that they brew in-house. And they have another concept here, actually, called, what's it called? I forgot what it's called. Anyway, it's a really great kind of American-style upscale steakhouse, and Twin Peaks has great food. It's a lot different from what you'd expect, and that show was very entertaining. If you have not yet seen it, I'd check out the video. You can go to either our Facebook page, which is, actually, you know what? Go to YouTube. Go to YouTube and follow Trey Chapman. Trey's Chowdown, or Trey's Chowdown Live, I think. Or you can go to the Spoony Radio YouTube page. Go like the video, like our page, follow us. We didn't have, I think at least it's several 100,000, actually. It's like 1,500 followers on YouTube before we can start to monetize. And we need, I think that's how many we need also before we can start to stream live to YouTube. And that's very important. You know why? Because I have some really cool stuff coming up on YouTube. I'm going to be flying to LA. Yes, I'm going to be taking a few more days off, supposedly anyway. We'll see if the plan comes together today as it's supposed to. But I was scheduled to fly to LA tomorrow morning to do some work with some very famously infamous people out in LA. To work on my short form, which is up to 2-minute videos, instructional stuff, fun stuff, reporting from festivals, fun stuff, informative. Inquiring minds want to know, how do you cook better? What is this knife for? As a matter of fact, I'm hoping, I have a phone call today at 5 o'clock with the Kangshan Knife Company. Yes, that's Kanshan, close enough. Kangshan, right? Just Kanshan Knife Company. I did a Facebook Live with them at the National Restaurant Association show. And if you check out their knives, they're fantastic, by the way. They have amazing chef quality knives for a better price than you can get most German-made knives. Not only that, they use this amazing steel from Sweden, and it holds its edge better than any knife I've ever seen. But I highlighted a set of knives that they have produced with and for the famous Thomas Keller. And Thomas Keller, if you don't know, is the owner of Per Se Restaurant in Manhattan and also the French Laundry, which for many years was and still is probably in my mind, the best restaurant in North America. Look, any restaurant that you do a $10 million renovation on, that's just a renovation. That's not to build the restaurant. It's got to be pretty freaking phenomenal. So go back and watch that video. Anyway, they're going to send me a set of knives. And, they had said that they might send me a set of knives, but I'm going to say it on the air. They're going to send me a set of knives so I can start highlighting the best use for each one of those blades. And also, I want to give a series of lessons on what each knife is made for. And hi, producer Ron. Yes, Patrick Mosher is, in fact, alive and well, and I think he's doing a little Facebook Live. I hope that's what he's doing. He might just be recording me looking silly behind the glass here in the Spoony radio studio right here in Haltom City, lovely Fort Worth. Yeah, it's good to be back. I missed y'all. I hope there's lots listening. By the way, if you're watching the feed right now on Facebook, like and share, invite your friends, tell them all about Spoony Radio. We have some cool new shows coming up. Paladin Cigars. Actually, we'll be starting a new show here on Wednesday mornings. If you don't know anything about cigars, well, Wednesday morning's the time to find out. It's probably a little early in the day for most of us to smoke a cigar, but yeah, we are cigar-friendly and spirits-friendly radio, unlike most radio out there right now. And I'm not just stalling. I have some things to talk about today. Some very important things today. Very, very important things. Matter of fact, the first order of breaking news today is that I'm back, right? Secondly, though, it is National Corn on the Cob Day. Yes, I said it is National Corn on the Cob Day. Yep, it's the middle of summer. Okay, it's the beginning of summer, and maybe even a little late to be putting this on the menu. Actually, the best corn's starting to come in right now. The next couple of weeks, corn is at its peak. And I'm telling you, go to a farm or farmer's market near you where they pick the corn that day, and you will thank me forever. Now, I found a recipe that is supposed to be the quote-unquote best way to cook corn on the cob. I actually posted it to the Spoony Radio Facebook page, so go check it out. Like it, share it. Please spread the word and the love. But this is a method that I have tried a few times. There are so many ways to cook corn. So many ways. None of that really matters to the children with braces because they just ask mom and dad to cut it off the cob anyway. They don't care if it's sauteed, grilled, broiled, buttered, boiled. They don't care. Just cut it off the cob. But for those of us that like to eat it off the cob, there are ways that it tastes the best. Now, I like to roast it in the husk. So what I do is I soak the corn in the husk. All I do is I cut off the little tassel at the top, the silk, so it doesn't burn. But I actually soak the corn for about 20, 30 minutes in water, preferably ice water. And then I take it out, shake it off, drain it off, and then I actually grill it on the grill so it steams in the husk. And then the husk comes off really easy. Once the corn is cooked, the key to getting all those little hairs off is once the corn is cooked, all that silk comes right off easily. Now, if you don't like it grilled or it's just too much work, then feel free to shuck the corn, peel the corn husk off ahead of time, and boil it. And the way that I have been told, this article came out July 9th. Oh, gosh, this is an old one. Never mind. This is a little bit old, but it had a lot of votes online as the best way to cook corn is actually to cook it in not just water, but milk and butter. So the recipe goes like this. It is somewhere here. It's basically, all right, water, 1 cup of milk, and a stick of butter. So you bring the water to a simmer, add your milk, and then basically you need enough water in the pan to cover the corn and give a couple inches of water below the corn at the bottom, so the corn bobs up and down. And I like to cook the whole ear of corn. I don't like to cut them in half. That's kind of cheating. I don't know. Plus, I feel like I'm gypped. I have to put 2 on the plate, and I just don't like that. I like the whole ear of corn. And for some reason, this is deemed as the most delicious corn imaginable. Now, my friend Pat Hara, I'm sorry, Pat, I use your last name. My friend Pat, who was a fellow Boy Scout leader, he was actually my son's Scout master, and I was the assistant Scout master. If the corn is not up to par, which you can just taste it raw, yeah, I know it's a little starchy, but you can tell how sweet it is. He used to actually put sugar in the water. And to be honest with you, it's not bad. I've heard that sugar and lemon in the water is actually the best. I don't know. I've never tried it. I've had it with sugar in the water, but that was one way that turned out very, very good. Now, there are, 3 or 4 or 500 different ways to cook it. There's always baked in the oven, right? Leave the whole thing together. Don't even worry about taking the husk, the little tassel off the top. Throw it in a 450-degree oven. Turn the oven off. All right, I just put them right on the grates in the oven racks. Let it sit there for about 15 minutes. It actually steams inside the husk, and then when it's done, you shuck it. It's pretty good. Actually, that was probably the easiest way ever. You can pull it out of the oven, throw it inside of a cooler, and let it rest for a few minutes, and then it continues steaming, and then you can shuck it that way as well. I haven't even looked to see if anybody's watching, and if they are, if they've made any comments. Let's see. I don't know. I'm sure someone's watching today. I'm going to share. I haven't shared to my page yet. Share. I'm just gonna plain old share it to my page. I'm not gonna add anything to it. No, I want to do it as me, and it won't let me do that. So share on my timeline, and there we go. Post. Come eat, drink, and be merry. Drink and eat, drink, and hashtag listen or starve. There we go. All right. So that ought to get a couple of people to listen. Now, there are ways to prepare corn after the cooking process, which are just as important as how you cook the corn. And if you've ever been to a Fiesta Market here in the great state of Texas, if you go to Fiesta Market, they have these little corn, corn place. Well, first and foremost, there are several different ways that you can get corn prepared, quote unquote, Mexican style. Okay. Now that's a broad ranging term, but if you go to, say, the corner gas station up here, there's a Fuel City, which I talk about their tacos all the time. Their taco bowls, their burritos, breakfast tacos, fantastic stuff. But if you go outside of the store, they have a little corn, a little lady they cut corn off the cob. I was going to say, is there a gentleman there? No, it's always a lady. Varying ladies, depending on the time of day, but they cut the corn off the cob and then they mix it. There's, it's interesting. Mayonnaise, there's chili powder, lime juice, and a whole bunch of other yummy stuff. Cotijo cheese that goes in there. But my favorite way is when they grill the corn, at these little stands outside of Fiesta Marts, which are great grocery stores, by the way. They have stuff from South and, all sorts of countries, but from Central and Latin America and South America. They have some things I can never find, like ají amarillo, ají panca, these ají chili pastes that are fantastic from South America. They're from Peru in particular. And they have whole leaf Mexican oregano and all these other wonderful things that you can buy there. They have rocoto chili paste, and just go check it out. I'm serious. Fiesta Mart is one of my favorites. So Fiesta grocery stores. Now, the way that they prepare it there is after they actually, I think that they bring the corn already steamed, but then they grill it to order, and then they roll it in butter. They dip it in Parmesan cheese. Then it gets like lime juice and chili powder, and it is the most fantastically flavored corn ever. Unbelievable. No, seriously, it is unbelievable. It is one of my favorite all-time summertime dishes. And of course, they only do it in the summertime. So if you have a Fiesta Market near you, you may check it. I think they're only in the state of Texas. I could be wrong, but there are several other places to do it. Look for best grilled Mexican corn hash, / wherever city you're in, you'll find it. One of my all-time favorites. It makes a mess. It gets all over your face. Who cares? Just get extra napkins. Wipe that butter and Parmesan cheese after every bite from your eyebrows. Actually, wait till you're done. Then wipe it from your brow. And I think you'll have much more fun. That and a cold beer, even a Sprite. Mexican Coca-Cola with real sugar cane in little small bottles. Oh, yeah. Can't go wrong with that. I may be a little tired today, so I'm drinking regular coffee. Yes, this would be leaded. Yeah, so as you'll notice, the pace will get quicker as we go throughout the day as the caffeine kicks in. So there is another day today, though. It is not just hashtag corn on the cob day. It is, it is hashtag, oh, you're not going to believe this. It is National German Chocolate Cake Day. Yes, National German Chocolate Cake Day. And if you live in the great state of Texas or elsewhere, I'm sure that you have had German chocolate cake, or what is deemed to be German chocolate cake. But what most people know is that German chocolate cake has nothing to do with Germany. Nope. Sorry to offend Sorry if you're of German national heritage and this recipe supposedly came over on the boat 400 years ago, or even 150 or 200. It did not. So, National German Chocolate Cake Day is observed because, although it sounds German, the cake's roots can be traced back to 1852 when American Sam German made a type of dark baking chocolate for the American Baker's Chocolate Company. And his Baker's German's sweet chocolate brand was named in honor of Sam German. And about 100 years later, in 1957, a recipe for German's chocolate cake appeared as the recipe of the day in the Dallas Morning Star, nonetheless. This recipe, created by Mrs. George Clay, used the Baker's German sweet chocolate, and it became quite popular. During this time, General Foods owned the Baker's brand and distributed Mrs. Clay's recipe to other newspapers around the country. The current name of German chocolate cake, as we know it today, came to be as publications started dropping the apostrophe S. Yes, it is not a German recipe. However, it is freaking delicious. So, I have actually posted the original. If you go to our Facebook page, you go to Spoony Radio's Facebook page, you can find the original German's chocolate cake recipe from the Baker's Chocolate Company, and check it out. It's pretty good stuff. I love German chocolate cake. If you don't like coconut, well, leave the coconut out. The rest is the same. It's good. It's delicious. And if your family doesn't like it, well, then, I don't know, make them something else. Make them corn on the cob, right? But today you can make your cake. You can have your cake and eat it too. It is National German Chocolate Cake Day. All right, so there are a couple of interesting things that I also came across in the news, and this one I've spoken about a bit before, but it's a new winner because last time was all natural. I believe it was early last summer, I think it was right around Memorial Day actually last year. Doc Thompson and I, we did a little research on the best tasting hot dogs. And of the natural brands. All right, I need to click on here and see who's commenting because I can't see the comments if I'm not watching my own video. That's kind of interesting. Not really. Anyway. Oh, no comments. Look at that. Wow, y'all are not on board today. All right, well. Listen or starve, comment, or I won't comment. Just teasing. All right. We did this thing about natural hot dogs, which was the best natural tasting natural hot dog. And I actually think it was, which brand was it? It was something I used to buy all the time at Whole Foods. But since I can't shop at Whole Paycheck anymore, I just went to the best hot dog brands according to a taste test. And this was just posted actually less than 12 hours ago. So there are two types of people in this world, by the way. There are those who prefer burgers and those who prefer hot dogs. I like them both. Matter of fact, preferably one piled on top of the other. It says, and so that divide becomes apparent at any cookout. I like hot dogs. Hot dogs just seem like summer to me. Hamburgers are more year-round food, but I like the Sabrettes from New York City, the street dogs. I have that crisp, natural casing, little snap, little bite to it. You know, that crunchy, a little really spicy German-style deli mustard. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you've ever had it, but Beaver brand mustard is unbelievably delicious. So, but they did a little taste test. And it was a taste of home. They got together with some hot dog aficionados. They didn't say who it was, but they did a blind taste test. Testers tried 6 popular brands of store-bought hot dogs, and they picked a few winners. So as far as honorable mentions go, the tasting panel deemed that Walmart's store brand, was deemed the standard hot dog. You know, it was a little saltier than the other top picks. All testers agreed that we'd be happy to eat this at a cookout. If you're hosting a larger event, Great Values Beef Franks are a budget-friendly choice. They're as much as $1 cheaper than most of the other competitors' brands. And they're $2.74, I think, for an 8-pack. They're available, of course, exclusive at Walmart. But the runner-up, okay, now that was not, Great Value is not the winner. That was just the standard. That's the baseline. So the runner-up was Hebrew National beef franks. I love Hebrew National. If I'm going to eat hot dogs, I either eat those or the next one, which was the winner. But I like them. They are they have a very unique flavor to them. And actually, I just finally found out why they have a unique flavor. It says tasters agreed that this hot dog had the most unique flavor of the bunch, and with good reason. They discovered that Hebrew National packs its franks with garlic powder and paprika, which are two of the, all right, if you're a home cook or a professional, you better have those two spices in your arsenal. Just telling you. So the panel also found that these franks were firm and substantial, perfect for feeding even the most famished the most famished cornhole winner. Okay, it took me a second there. That was not what it was called when I was a kid growing up in another state. That was called like beanbags, right? Whatever it was. Anyway, the prices vary, and these are 6-packs. These are not an 8-pack of hot dogs, so you'll always have buns left over. They're really good for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Just saying. But the overall winner was the best in show, Nathan's Famous Skinless Beef Franks. Now, if you've never watched the Nathan's Famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest, it's both fascinating, disgusting, and fascinating and slightly disgusting at the same time. It's crazy how somebody can eat 100 hot dogs in however many minutes. It's ridiculously. It's kind of like, you drive by train wreck is the wrong word, but if you walk by two cars have an accident, you walk by and it's kind of like morbid curiosity. That's kind of what the Nathan's Famous hot dog eating contest is. And they host the annual 4th of July hot dog eating contest. This brand took the title of champion. The panel unanimously agreed that Nathan's Famous combined all of the best qualities into a winning hot dog. It tasted flavorful, seasoned but not salty, and had a gentle snap with every bite. Nathan's Famous has had plenty of time to perfect the recipe. The company has been serving up its signature franks for well over a century, kind of like these other legacy brands that you probably need to know about. And I'll click on those in a second. It's $3.67 on average for an 8-pack, and they're available at grocers nationwide. So Nathan's Famous, even if you have somebody in your family that doesn't like hot dogs, that may be the one that changes our minds, really. So they talked about these other vintage brands that they're older than you think. The first one that came up was Spam. Chopped pork and ham, actually. I don't know about you, but yes, I grew up on Spam. It's still a huge hit in Hawaii. As a matter of fact, almost every Blue Plate special, which they actually have many of there every day, it's pretty crazy. They serve it on, almost every restaurant has a Blue Plate special with Spam on it. They serve it with stuff like sushi rice and nori, and they really know how to make Spam shine, let me tell you. But it was established in 1937, so not quite 100 years ago. Ooh, Velveeta, 2% milk. That was in 1918. 1918. Wow. Velveeta was incorporated as its own company in 1923. It was invented by Swiss cheesemaker Emil Frey. He was tasked with using up leftover bits of factory-made cheese. The mission was clearly a success as Velveeta was incorporated as its own company in 1923. Interesting. Sadly interesting. Triscuits. Let's see. Triscuits. Oh, wow. It was established in 1903. Now, I like Triscuits, especially the full salt ones. They're created and manufactured near Niagara Falls, and early ads bragged that they were baked by electricity. Ooh. I guess that was a big deal back there. That was where Edison that was one of the first big power plants. So, and actually, I believe that was the power plant that had the outage that caused the was it the blackout? What year was that? That was I was young. I was in California. Probably like 2000, 4, 5, 6 in that area sometime. But anyway, 1903. Triscuits still around today. Kellogg's Corn Flakes. $18.98. All right, we'll get back to these in a minute. We have a few seconds left. Again, Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. I am back on the air, alive and well. I did not run away. I have another bad joke about a train. I have not ridden the train out of town. I'm here. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Please tune in, listen, learn, and hopefully walk away hungry so you cook something for yourself tonight. I'll be right back.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter @FoodBizPro.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252.
Dr. Ken Brown here, host of Gut Check Project with my co-host Eric Rieger. I've seen in my practice that Atrantil is a whole lot more than just a bloating product.
Yes, it does a whole lot more than just fix bloating because of the polyphenols that you find in Atrantil.
What are some of the things that these polyphenols do, Eric?
These polyphenols can help you have more energy, and polyphenols are great for athletes.
It sounds like it's going to help a whole lot more people than just bloating. Go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
And we're back. We're back for the second course of today's Spoony Radio Food Biz Pro Show. Chef Patrick Mosher here at your service. I was just reading there's a 28-year-old Mexican woman who's just been named the best chef in the world by Bon Appetit. We'll go back and check that in a minute. But that's pretty incredible. Interesting. We'll go back and talk about that. But I was just talking about a few brands here that were iconic, and I can't believe how old some of these brands are. I really can't. So we have, we can get rid of those, get rid of those. Don't need that one. Here we go. So we're just talking about the age of some of these brands. Triscuits, right? 1903. Who'd have thought that in 1903 you needed a cracker to serve cheese and whatever on? I'm not sure what did they. I guess it was just appetizer dips back then, I would imagine. But cornflakes, even older, 1898. So if you don't know the story of the Kellogg Company, brothers W.K. and John Harvey Kellogg, they launched their flaked corn breakfast cereal at the turn of the 19th century. Their inspiration was the teachings of the Seventh-day Adventists, who advocated for bland diets that would inspire pious behavior. Yep, believe it or not, that was the inspiration behind cornflakes. Didn't know that, did you? Neither did I. Grape nuts. Wow, grape nuts is even older. Grape nuts was established in 1897. 1897. As the Post Company says, these are neither grapes nor nuts, but they do have a long history. One theory is that they're named for their resemblance to grape seeds, while some folks groan when they see them in the cereal bowl. Grape nuts can be transformed into a homemade breakfast treat. You know, I like grape nuts. The only thing that happens with grape nuts is my jaw gets tired. I get tired of chewing them for hours and hours and hours, and they never get soft enough. Even as they get soft and soggy in the milk, it still takes forever to chew them up. I like the fact they're really crunchy. As long as you don't have too many fillings, you don't have to be in fear of losing one. But grape nuts, good idea, pretty good flavor. But oh my God, it takes like 45 minutes. Maybe that's the key. Wear your jaw out before you finish and get full, and you'll eat less. I'm gonna try that. So I can't name it now. That diet's got to change. I got to think of a better name. Jell-O brand. Jell-O brand was also established in 1897. Gelatin first wiggled its way onto the table in the medieval era. What? Back then it was used for savory jellies packed with pig parts. Well, that's true. I mean, aspic is what it was called then. Yes, A-S-P-I-C, aspic. 1S, aspic. So in culinary school, when you go to a fancy French culinary school, you learn how to make aspic. It is a savory gelatin, which is not very savory at all, packed around organ meats, force meats, what else? Pâtés. Yes, aspic. They make entire plates of it. It is, it can be yummy. A little outdated, but it can be yummy. So I guess that's where it came from. But it wasn't until 1897 that Jell-O as we know it was patented. It has been bringing rainbow tones to our desserts ever since. Ooh, everybody remember those Jell-O molds with a little shredded carrot in there? Nothing like lime-flavored Jell-O with grapes and shredded carrots. Boy, do I miss those holidays. Heinz tomato ketchup. Heinz was established in 1869. And believe it or not, they did not get their start with ketchup. They started out producing another vital component of cocktail sauce called horseradish. Fast forward to 1876, and the red stuff would follow, changing burgers and marinades forever. And hot dogs. You know, that whole hot dog ketchup or mustard debate has been around for a long time. We need to dig into that one because it's gotten violent at times, by the way. The history of this all-American condiment date goes back further. However, ketchup has its root in fermented Chinese sauces dating back to 300 BC. That is, however, debatable. No one really knows the history of ketchup. Many have pondered the origin. No one, as far as we know, has correctly come up with a viable history of ketchup. I don't know. All I know is it's pretty damn tasty. I like it, Oh, there's a story. There's a story about this new mayo chup, this mayo ketchup mixture in Canada, and some tribe is offended because this tribe, actually this Native American or Native American tribe apparently has a great sense of humor when it comes to their language, but for some reason when you say mayo chup, it's very offensive. I'm gonna have to look this story up because I thought it was very, very interesting. How, because something sounds offensive in one language, it means something completely different in another language. Now we have to ban that word. It makes no sense to me. Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff in German that sounds offensive in English and the other way around, but nobody bans those words. Like Bügeleisen sounds like the worst word in the world to me in German, but it actually means it's an iron for your clothes. But, it sounds bad in English, right? All right, Tabasco. Tabasco, also founded in 1868. Tabasco. I want to go to that little island. And see how they produce that. I mean, they don't really show you exactly, but it's pretty damn cool that all that is produced in one factory. Matter of fact, the McElhinney Company McElhinney Company Corporation has been bringing the heat since just after the Civil War. Edmund McElhinney created his classic Louisiana sauce as a way to bring flavor back after the war. Taking advantage of the region's marsh, salt, and growing spicy Tabasco peppers, he built a culinary empire in the process. The sauce is still bottled in the same factory today, and that they have built an empire. Holy moly, quite an empire. Oh, Arm & Hammer. Arm & Hammer baking soda, established in 1867. Now, this was not founded by the famous Armand Hammer, who was a very famous German man, actually, very famous businessman. But no, if you're a baker, you may think of this vintage food brand as magic. And that's true. because leavening is very important, by the way. Baking soda forms the gases that make breads and cakes rise. John Dwight and Dr. Austin Church first developed their baking soda in 1846. The Arm and Hammer trademark was established in 1867. It also takes the stink out of the fridge, so open a couple boxes. Matter of fact, they make ones just for the fridge now with a little filter thing on the side, so you can open up the entire side of the box, and none of that stuff spills in your fridge. It's pretty fam-dancy. I'm just saying. Number 10, there are 15 of these iconic brands. Number 10, the Cadbury egg. Are you kidding me? Holy crap. The Cadbury egg, Cadbury the company, was established in 1824. John Cadbury opened his first shop in England in 1824. Our Easter baskets would never be the same. The brand's first Easter egg dates to 1875. It was a dark chocolate number filled with even more chocolate drops. Their milk chocolate came in just a few years later. I wonder where the Cadbury cream egg, I don't like those things, by the way. I think because the few I've had were probably old, and that sugary, gooey stuff inside had started to recrystallize, and I hated the texture. A1 steak sauce. Ooh, I like egg. And look, I am the only chef in the world that will not judge you if you want A1 on your steak. Eat the damn sauce. I don't care. I like HP sauce a little better, which if you've not had an HP sauce, it's kind of the British version of A1, but I like steak sauce. I grew up in New York, in upstate New York specifically, little time in the city, a lot of time in Arizona. People eat steak sauce on their steaks. It's okay. It's okay. I promise. Now, a great steak doesn't need anything on it. A little salt, you're done. But in 1821, so this is how it came about. When a king demands delicious sauce, a chef is wise to listen. Chef Henderson William Brand first made this sauce for King George IV in the early 1800s. The king is said to have praised it as A1, that's shorthand for A number one, which it was so good that Brand brought it to the masses upon the king's demise. Now you can try, now you can have it, blah, 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 blah. I did not realize that was an English brand. Established in 1862, it says. Shake well, by the way. I'm telling you, HP sauce is awesome. If you've never had HP, try it. Coleman's mustard. I love dry powdered mustard, by the way. It doesn't taste like mustard. But it's awesome. It's really good for so many different savory recipes. It's phenomenal. It's such a great seasoning. But the backbone for many savory recipes, it was founded in 1814. Coleman's mustard has graced British and American tables for more than 200 long years. Originally sold in powder form, it was designed by a UK-based flour miller and intended to be made into a paste. Some families have been with the business for 5 generations. That's pretty cool. You know, I went to I had a job offer one time. We're gonna skip the. Well, we'll talk about a King Arthur's flour, which I really love, by the way. It's 1790, about 1790. It's a vintage brand beloved by bakers. King Arthur flour has roots in the Revolutionary War era when Boston-based Henry Wood began importing English flour. He may not have envisioned the creation of a legacy. Yet when the company's new and improved King Arthur flour was launched in 1896 Boston Food Fair, they found a recipe built to last. I love King Arthur bread flour. Okay, we're going to do the last two real quick, but I'm going to go back to mustard. Let's see. Baker's Semi-Sweet Chocolate. This is the Baker's brand right here. This is the one that we talked about. This semi-sweet chocolate is where the original recipe for German's chocolate cake came from. And Baker's Chocolate Company, by the way, was established in 1764. So next time you whip up a batch of chocolate chip cookies, give a nod to history. Baker's Chocolate started out in 1764. The brand has been producing chocolate steadily since 1780. Now owned by the Kraft Company, they're said to be the first chocolate importers to the United States. And last but not least, Twinings Earl Grey Black Tea. I love me some black tea. Actually, what I really like is English breakfast blend. Yes, I can say that. English breakfast blend. What I like even more is Irish breakfast blend. Irish tea is really good. The blend is my favorite. But I digress. Twinings tea, year established 1706. When the Portuguese sailed in search of spice and riches, they brought tea back to Europe. Cue a British love story. Thomas Twining opened his first London coffee house in 1706, differentiating himself by selling tea. There, men would drink up and do business. Women were sold dried tea to make at home. Yes, I didn't write this. I'm just reading it, okay? Don't look at me like that, and don't listen to me in that tone of voice. I didn't do it. Times have changed, but tea has warmed hearts ever since. Hosting a tea party, try these irresistible tea sandwiches. What is the point of tea sandwiches? You're cutting off half the bread. They're so thin that they couldn't, a waif like a little boy like Oliver Twist couldn't survive on them. Forget the tea sandwiches. I want a modern day sandwich. I'm just saying. All right, so I want to go back for a minute. One of the best opportunities I had in my life, I was just graduating culinary school, and I had moved up to Aspen, Colorado. I had done an opening there for the famous chef Nobuo Matsuhisa and my buddy Jeffrey Klein, who is now my consulting partner. He was the owner, operator. I went back down to Denver, and I had an interview actually with a great company out of Chicago, and they're a very old spice company. Let's see, Flour Millers in Chicago. Actually, they're not in Chicago, but close enough. So this company, which I'll tell you about in a minute, they'd been around for a long time, and they had not just a flour milling business, but they got into spice grinding, and it was awesome because, well, just the whole interview process was cool. They bought my ticket. They put me up at a Hilton. They got me to and fro from the airport, even in Denver, where I was flying out of. Let's see. And Dieter Preiser, who is their corporate chef, by the way, is such a cool man. All right, so they pick me up. They take me to take me to the airport. I get on the plane, blah blah blah. It's very cool, very cool. I get there. They pick me up in a limo. I'm the only guy there. They pick me up in a limo. Really? And then they drop me off. I have 4 hours before my interview starts. So they drop me off at the Hilton, and they come back, pick me up, take me to the interview. Now, the interview is more like an introduction to the company, right? It's kind of a round robin. I go from department to department, and I meet the head of every department, the VP of this department, the VP of that department, and this company is very famous. I'm not going to say their name, actually. I'll leave that. But they wowed me. It was awesome. But they wanted to start this Asian line of spices. What this company did, they specialized in working with large corporate clients across the country, where they would actually bulk make their sauces, whether it was packaged or not packaged in bulk. They would like Arby's sauce, right? They made the sauce for all the Arby's in the country. And they need a couple of things. They need a representative to work with some of the new chains that they're working with to develop this Asian flavored line of products, sauces for them, or help refine the sauces that they had and turn them into, take this gold standard recipe, the perfect small batch recipe, scale that up into something that could be made into 500 gallons or 1,000 gallons at a time, and then portioned, packaged smaller or whatever, and then shipped out. So anyway, it was an amazing interview, and I was given a tentative job offer to be made firm in writing the next day. Or no, 2 days later. I'm sorry, it was a Wednesday, and it was going to be made formal on Friday. So I stayed the night. I flew out the next morning. It was Thursday. Get back to Denver, and the company had a hiring freeze late Thursday afternoon, about 4:30. I get a call saying, Patrick, we're very sorry. We've had a hiring freeze temporarily. We're going to restructure, and we should the hiring freeze should be gone within a month. Well, it never went away. They had a hiring freeze. It stuck. It stuck for the rest of that year. And I want to say this was in like April, maybe May. So needless to say, I did not get the job, although it would have been really cool. These companies have been vital to the growth of American food service industry in the last century. And I did not intend to go this direction, but this is actually a very interesting thing to talk about. You basically have one store that makes one product, or maybe they're famous for one thing. Doesn't matter what it is. Nathan's famous or whatever it happens to be. Let's choose something different. Let's say, let's just use Arby's. I don't know how Arby's started. I don't know their history. I don't know how long ago they started, but I know they started with one store that sold roast beef sandwiches, right? And they had a special sauce that they put on there. It's that orangish red thing that, some people like, some people don't, but they sold enough that they opened a second store and a third store and a fourth store and a 100th store and a 200th store and probably about a 1,200th store. But at some point, it became illogical and too difficult for them to produce every product in store for themselves. So what did they do? They probably farmed that out to some other company. And now this could be any number of companies, right? Could have been any number of companies. But it could, there are companies specifically do that now, co-packaging companies, right? But a lot of these companies, they specialize in one thing. This particular company in Chicago, they started out as a flour mill, and then they went to grinding spices, and then over time, they started making fully prepared sauces, and they make the ketchup packages for one company. They do again Arby's sauce for Arby's, right? And it's interesting because without them, these companies couldn't grow. And what do I mean by that? Well, quality and consistency are key when you get to a certain scale. And when you have one or two restaurants, or even three sometimes, and they're local and maybe they're owned by one person, they're still managed by one person, it's a big deal. Why? Well, because you have to have the same quality, the same consistency at every location. McDonald's, when they got to a certain size, they couldn't make their McDonald's special sauce anymore because they had too many locations, and the human factor kicks in. You don't have the same level of management or the same level of ability at every store, and it becomes an issue. So what happens then is you farm these things that are vital to the importance of the restaurant out. Like McDonald's stopped forming their own patties. They come in now frozen in a box. Okay, that's okay. As long as they're the same quality, same consistency, same food all around the world. And this is not about McDonald's, nor is it about Arby's. It's about the scaling up of business. And the reason being that when you're managing one or two or three restaurants, it's about individual relationships, managing personalities, right? It's about one-on-one relationships, or maybe one leader having such an influence over the second tier of leadership. Maybe you have an owner and then 3 GMs for 3 locations. Okay, and then you're able to impress upon them your culture, your drive, right? Your integrity, your inability to accept anything but the best and consistent quality. And you can still go store to store and taste the quality every single day for every shift. It's still manageable. As you grow, then you need systems in place, right? It becomes more about systems management. But those systems, once you grow past a certain point, even then you have consistency breakdowns. I'll give you an example, and this is not necessarily a breakdown in consistency, but Roy's restaurants, right? Roy Yamaguchi, one of my all-time idols. I love him as a chef. What a fantastic chef. I know his corporate sous chef, or who used to be his corporate sous chef, I think he still is, David Abella. Roy Yamaguchi is an amazing American chef with Japanese roots, grew up in Maui, phenomenal food. But when they got to a certain size, he had these Roy's restaurants around the country, it started to break down a little bit. They just didn't have the infrastructure and enough men on deck, or hands on deck, I should say, that were directly taught by him to manage this. And so they sold the company. I think he maintained 2 locations, which I think now he just has the 1. But it happens, right? And what happens is you have this breakdown in quality that affects the brand. And so a chef-driven concept, whether it's Arby's, look, McDonald's was maybe not chef-driven, but it was a single flavor-driven concept for years and years, right? Before they had to expand, and because of competition from all these other outside entities. At some point, you have to systematize that. And when you're a chef-driven entity, such as Roy's was, you can't do that, because what happens then? You can't charge the same. You can't expect the same return on investment from the diner. Because if you start making things outside and people hear that, then you're no longer special. You're not a chef-driven concept. It's very important. I know when I worked for the Chart House company, which is now owned by, what's his name? It's now owned by the Landry's Corporation, right? Which owns a lot of other concepts. But we had problems within the company at one point, and the company was bought out by Let Us Entertain You, or at least a significant portion was. One of the things that Let Us Entertain You Corporation brought in, which was the founder of Let Us Entertain You, is a gentleman named Rich Melman, who is out of Chicago, based in Chicago. They have so many really cool, unique concepts. Every restaurant's different, but they use the same systems across the board, like the zoning system, where every area that you stack plates has the size of the plate, the number of plates that go there for every station, all throughout the restaurant. Waiter station, the hot line, the cold line, doesn't matter. Anywhere that plates, dishes, any utensil go, it's labeled. It's very important, because when you get past a certain number of restaurants, you need to be able to manage the lack of time that you have training people directly. The zoning system also applied to labeling on shelves. Every single item had its place in the walk-in cooler or in the dry storage. Everything was labeled. Everything had a par, an amount that you had to keep on hand at any given time. Those systems are vital, and it doesn't just go for the restaurant industry. As a small business, say, I'll give you an example, two-way communications company, right? As they grow, they do handheld walkie-talkies. They might have this a transmitter amplifier, right? It's basically called a repeater. But they start to sell airtime on that to, say, a wrecker service, which picks up, their tow trucks drive around and they need to communicate with them. Well, as you grow and you have more stock and you have more repairs to do and you need to have systems in place. It's the same thing. You need to start. You can't just throw stuff in your storage room because you only have 5 or 6 items you deal with, stack them up on the floor. You need to label every part, every piece. How many do you need to have on hand for any given day, any period of time before you have to reorder? What's the minimum to have on hand before you have to reorder? Those systems are really vital to any business. They really are. And I've been consulting in Austin for a little while now. And it's a concept, which actually this is one of Doc's longtime listeners. I'm not going to mention names, but the concept's great. And it was complex, though. The way that this relationship with the original owner of this idea worked was that the name was licensed. But the gentleman didn't want to do all the same food, so the idea was start out doing their food, their sides, their grilled and fried items, and then later change it to their own concept. Well, finally, it was discovered that this wheel was too complicated, right? And instead of trying to take this wheel that worked well as a standalone brick and mortar concept, in other words, a store that's a storefront, actually has a storefront, and try and do it as this was being done as like a food court, an outdoor food court, though, with 2 food trailers. And the food was phenomenal. The idea is great. It realized this gentleman came to the conclusion that it was too complicated. And to simplify it, came up with his own brand, own name. I'm not going to mention it because it might be on hold for a little while, but if the green light goes, I'm going to blow this thing out of the water, and I'll give him a mention every hour because he's just been a stellar person, and he's He's faced a lot of challenges in getting this thing up and running, and it's going to be fantastic. It's just outside of Austin. I'm going to stop there. I won't tell you what direction. But he just decided, look, I want to do my own thing, simplify it, forget these daily specials, because it's a food truck. It's not a full kitchen, full production restaurant. Do what you do best and do it well. It's very rare that people backtrack and simplify instead of overcomplicating. And this is probably one of my proudest moments, and it wasn't my idea, although I may have hinted at it. As a consulting chef, just a consultant, as a friend to this gentleman, kudos to you for making the right decision to backtrack, re-simplify, take away the complications, and do what you do best and what you really want to do, instead of worrying about what someone else did and trying to recreate it a little better. It's rare that people do that. We always tend to go the more complicated route. Anyway, wow, I've burned away another half an hour of your time. Can't get that one back, folks. I hope you learned at least, 5 cents worth of knowledge from that. But I really believe for growth, you need systems, but you need a strategy. We'll talk about a strategy in a little bit and why sometimes that backfires. Matter of fact, we'll talk about the iconic Starbucks and how something they did has kind of backfired. It pissed a lot of people off, including me. I don't go there anymore. Anyway, we'll be right back. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro, right here on Spoony Radio. It's good to be back. If it may only be for a day, we'll talk about that later. But, yeah, join me. It's the top of the hour. I'll be back in 4 minutes. Hurry back. Listener starve.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Trump says he hopes former Vice President Joe Biden maintains his lead among the Democratic candidates looking to run against Mr. Trump in the 2020 presidential election.
I'd rather run against, I think, Biden than anybody. I think he's the weakest mentally. And I like running against people that are weak mentally. I think Joe is the weakest up here.
The president spoke to reporters on the White House lawn in the last hour before departing for Iowa, where both he and Biden are campaigning in different parts of the state. The full House expected to vote today to authorize the Judiciary Committee to pursue a contempt citation against Attorney General William Barr and former White House counsel Don McGahn.
The measure stems from Barr's refusal to turn over an unredacted copy of the Mueller report and underlying materials, and McGahn's refusal to provide documents and to testify. If it passes as expected, House Democrats could then file a lawsuit asking a judge to order them to comply. A timetable for a court case is uncertain, although Democrats would like to move quickly.
Capitol correspondent Wally Hines, also at townhall.com. In consumer news, a group of 10 state attorneys general led by New York and California are filing a lawsuit to block T-Mobile's $26.5 billion bid for Sprint, saying it would hurt competition. U.S. wholesale prices rose just 0.1% in May.
The Labor Department says the increase last month in its producer price index was half of April's 0.2% increase. The entire gain in May came from a 0.3% increase in the wholesale price of services. Goods prices fell 0.2%. Over the past year, producer prices have risen 1.8%. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, wholesale prices rose 0.2% in May from April and 2.3% from May 2018.
Correspondent Jeremy House reporting. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
All right, Spoony listener, Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro, back. Yes, talking about strategy, business systems, scaling, growth, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a boring talk today, but hopefully informative. I was talking the last half hour about how systems are vital for growth. And often we overcomplicate things. We really do, thinking that it's the best way to do business. Now, we may increase our business, but complicate the model and lose our core business consumer, our core consumer, right? So I'll give you an example. I've talked about this on the air before. This is nothing new if you've been listening for more than 6 months or a year. But Starbucks, about, 2 years ago, they did this thing where you can order online, right? So online ordering, things are pop up, they're ready to go. You show up at the store, you pick it up, you run out the door. Fan-freaking-tastic. Except for one thing. Starbucks stores are not designed for this kind of volume. They're designed for a guest to come in, order at the counter, sit down, wait for their Frappuccino or whatever drink of choice they have ordered is ready, walk back to the counter, grab that drink, and if they got some delectable hot food or cold food, grab the food, sit down, eat, and then leave. Here's what happens, though, most often in these stores that do the order online thing. There's so many orders that come in from online ordering that you actually can never get your damn coffee if you're just sitting in there and you want a coffee. So the only option you really have at the counter is to order a plain coffee. Because if you have something that's frothed milk or that goes through the espresso machine, you never, ever, ever get it. Ever. And by the way, I was going to make this really cool cold brew coffee back there that we had left over from an event for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, which was last fall. I don't know if you haven't seen the video of Doc and I trying to race on this. It was a wet, rainy day. They canceled the event. Doc and I end up racing on these the kitty bounce house type things. It was really kind of funny. Yeah, it was really funny. I may have lost, but not my fault. Anyway, I had this coffee left over, and there was one jug of this cold brew coffee, which actually just came from Walmart. It's very good. It's a Kona-style cold brew. It was awesome, but I think that that pre-brewed coffee does have an expiration date because that is very sour. Matt Locke had, in fact, killed all of the hot coffee left. The container was empty, no more brew in the pot. So I thought I'd quickly mix something, and that is really not good. It's disgusting, actually. I washed that taste out of my mouth one more time with just plain water. All right, so back to systems. So I'll give you the example. There's a very busy store in Irving, Texas. Not Irving, California. Not Irvine, Irving. Next to another studio where Doc and I may have done some work in the past. Okay, I didn't do work. I volunteered content. Doc worked there. So we would work there frequently. Doc would coach me on things. We came up with this entire concept for Spoony and our neighboring, our partnering channel over there, Mojo 50. And we would go there often, almost daily, if not twice daily. And at one point, all of a sudden, we noticed that it was extreme. This was a very busy store, and it already had kind of a design that could lead to nothing more than what you could call a cluster, right? So as you walked in, the store is not quite rectangular in shape. It's basically a big triangle. And as you walk in at the very front left of the store, which is a flat glass wall. You walk in at the front left. As you walk in, you have to go to the right, which takes you by these low stools. They have they're like benches. Well, there's some chairs, and then they have some like log style benches or like seats, and then they have tables. But you go between the tables and this row of there are 2 chairs side by side, 2 sets of them against that front wall. All right, and then you walk between that and the table, and it's very little room. And then you make your way maybe 30 feet to that front right corner of the counter. So you've gone from the far left to the far right now. And the counter, then you wait and you place your order. There are typically 8 to 10 people in front of you, probably 8 people at the counter in front of you. You can only really fit 3 to 4 people behind the counter. They have 1 espresso machine and 1 person doing food, 1 person working the cold drinks, 1 person doing espresso, and 1 person taking orders. Now, they have 2 cash registers, but having another person back there adds complexity, and it's very difficult to move around. But that store was always busy. As you get to the end of the counter, and you've placed your order, you paid, you go off to wait. That's kind of that's where the whole bottleneck is, right? And the bottleneck starts as this: the restrooms are way in the back left corner. So the traffic flows like this: you walk in the front left, you move to the front right, okay? You travel to the back left corner, where everybody has to come out of the line after they've ordered, but also that's where there's a big table back there. A very large table that seats 8 or 10 people, and the bathrooms are behind that. So you're supposed to wait for your coffee there. That's where the restroom is. That's where you come out of the ordering line, and that's where the main seating area is. Okay, so now you have 4 groups of people congregating in a tiny area that's maybe 3 feet wide in a bottleneck, standing around waiting. Now, that's okay. It was okay. You might have to wait 4 minutes to get your coffee or something like that. But most of the time we would just get regular coffee because it was already slow. And, but usually we had time to wait. I wouldn't say usually got regular coffee. It was extremely busy. We would get regular coffee, right? Just regular hot brewed coffee. And I would take the chance that it was actually decaf, because most of the time when I ordered decaf at Starbucks, it wasn't decaf. It was regular. And so I, as you know, don't drink a lot of caffeine. I would get jittery. But I would order anyway. Now, we got braver and things got busier. We stayed there, worked there anyway, and started going back to ordering prepared, espresso-based coffees, because we were spending more and more time there. We weren't in such a rush. All of a sudden, the online ordering thing kicks in. And what happened? The volume tripled. Yes, tripled. This particular store is in a shopping center. By the way, that restaurant I was thinking of that is a one-off restaurant that's like a higher, not quite fine dining, but a very nice place that's owned by the founders of Twin Peaks. Is called The Ranch. It's excellent. If you're in the Irving area, great restaurant. They do like a grilled meatloaf, and the food has always been spot on. Doc and I have been there several times, and it's one of my favorite restaurants in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we would go in now, and not only would you wait your typical 4 minutes at this Starbucks, which is in that same parking lot, but at the far end of that parking lot, I'm going to tell you where it is. Yeah, it's in the same parking lot at the far west end of that parking lot where the ranch is. Okay. We'd order our coffee. I would order, like, say, a decaf latte. All right. Yes, I know it's decaf. Stop giving me a hard time. I just get jittery when I drink too much caffeine. So I would order my drink, and it used to take 4, maybe 5 minutes. Now you'd wait 20 minutes to get a grande decaf latte, overpriced at that, with mediocre coffee. And, in an environment that was extremely loud and you were always waiting for a place to sit, because now you had 2/3 you had tripled the volume, literally tripled. They had two people usually doing nothing but making those coffees. One person actually would just stand by the printer, take the labels off and put them on the cups, and they would have 20 or 30 cups lined up at a time for to-go orders, for the order online, prepaid, ready to go. So you'd have to wait in line, A, to place your order, and then B, behind all of those orders to get your order made when you're in there willing to sit there and spend more money. See, here's the fail. The people that are ordering online, they come in, they order, they get their stuff, they leave. The people that are in-house that should be served first, in theory, they tend to stay longer. They tend to buy more stuff. They tend to get up from their seats, come back and reorder a second coffee, a protein snack. Remember those protein snacks? They were really good. They had a peanut butter and a boiled egg and some grapes, maybe some apples, some cheese. And they were awesome. One of my favorite little snacky things to order at any place that I ate, which typically I ate a lot at Starbucks. The average person, I think, when you think about it, they're spending $6 to $8 per purchase, and they are going up at least 1.5 to 2 times per sitting. Okay, but then what happened? I had to wait so long for my initial coffee. Doc and I would eat before we got there, or we'd stop and get something else taken in with us, just order a regular coffee. So now our price point, our total spend per person, right? The PPA, per person average, got cut in half just on the drink. And then you cut the food out completely, unless we got we have this thing for Madeline's, right? The little, it's like a, what do you call it? Like oyster shell shaped cookie, little scalloped edge. Kind of spongy. They're good, right? Kind of sugary on the outside, spongy in the middle. Doc and I both love those, so we'd sometimes get one of those, split it. Okay, but instead of ordering a breakfast, a sandwich, or they have these sous vide eggs that are really tasty, by the way. I think it's is it the chorizo and Gruyere? I don't know, but they're all damn tasty. Just try them. They're really good. There's one with I think it's Gruyere and bacon. Oh, delicious. Really hot when they come out, though. Let them set for 2-3 minutes to cool down. Open up that package, let them sit, because you burn the heck out of your mouth. But it's so busy that we would not order that stuff anymore, which doubled our order. I would spend $9, $10. Now I'm spending $2.50 on a coffee if I'm lucky. Whatever a grande size coffee is at Starbucks. I don't even know what the current price is because I don't go there anymore. But not only did it become so difficult and so offensive to be there. It was just such a burden. You could never find a seat. You couldn't. We would spend, Doc and I would go back, sometimes we'd spend 4, 5, 6 hours there. We'd go back 2-3 times, sometimes more. And each time spend $5 to $7 each. And they lost that. And not only that, they lost me as a customer pretty much forever, pretty much at any location, because I can't go in. And Starbucks is like, for those that are self-employed or that are part of the mobile workforce, where you're a salesperson or maybe you're building an MLM empire. It's a great place to meet. It used to be, right? Now you can't find a seat, can't get a coffee, and you can't talk because it's so loud. It's unfortunate because this, what was it, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, they closed the first Starbucks. How many did they close last year and the year before? How many new ones have you seen open? Very few. It's a shame. Maybe not my favorite brand, but you knew what you're going to get at any location. Consistent product, and 99 times out of 100, a great attitude, and pretty good service. I mean, I really have liked the product. Not loved, but liked the product at Starbucks for a long time. And they had great merchandising. Mugs, French presses, so on and so forth, holiday-themed stuff. It's always been a good concept, but I won't go back. I might if I'm at a Target, because they almost always have one at the front of a Target, and I need a little coffee or I just want something, I need a pick-me-up, which is rare that I get caffeinated, but I will get a half calf or something. I might get something there because there are very few, and most of those don't have order online. So I'll stop in there. But they lost a customer that probably spent $50 at one point to $100 a week with them. And I'll never go back. Because why? Their expansion model excluded your core of your business. You can't do that. You can't alienate the people that built your business for the sake of those that just want expediency. Unless you're just going to shut it down and make it all drive-through, right? Or maybe you can't order at the counter at all anymore. It's all order online. I mean, if you're really trying to make more money with less labor, right, with a quicker turnover by ordering online, make that your model. Drop the food altogether, right? All the hot food. Just sell your donuts, which suck now that you took there's no saturated fat when you fry them. I'm just saying they're really good. They used to be really good. They're okay now. But yeah, if you're gonna change your business model and alienate your core clientele, you are not going to succeed long term. And people wonder, oh, Starbucks isn't doing so. Yeah, well, yeah, because you alienated everybody who used to go there for the reason that you were in existence. It was a mobile workplace. You're not just a coffee shop. You're a place of business. It's as if golf courses took away the beer on the course. No. Are golf courses built around beer? No. But many golf courses, a lot of businesses done there. And you have a beer or two, you have a Coke, whatever. Say from now on, you're just going to serve water on the golf course. Okay, well, you don't need the cart. Don't need the pretty girl. Don't need take all that away, because save the labor. Just put a big orange cooler, a big orange igloo at every hole. Put 2 of them, because people are going to drink a lot more water now. And who cares about the rest? You just alienated a third to half of your clientele, because it's a social event. It's not exercise. Golf is not exercise. It is exercise. Don't get me wrong. All you golfers out there, I'm not saying it takes a lot to carry your bags around. Even, look, if it's hot and even in a cart, it's a lot of work. It is. But if you alienate your core clientele, even half your core clientele, how do you expect long-term to survive? Because those people that order online, they're not about Starbucks. They're not. They're not about the experience, which is what you brought to the table. That's why you're so successful as a coffee house, nationwide, worldwide. That's why the brand grew so huge so fast. You brought something unique. It was the first time nationwide you could congregate in any city, any place, do business under the same circumstances with the same great service and the same good product. And at one time, compared to most stuff out there, it was great, because we weren't coffee snobs at that time. Anyway, quickest way to fail, alienate your clientele. Just saying. It's the same thing with companies that don't grow with the times, right? That don't modify their business practices, their menu, their culture to fit current times. Look at, like McDonald's for so long. What Burger King gained on McDonald's back in the 80s when they started the Have It Your Way campaign. Or I think it was the 80s when they started that. Have it your way, Burger King, blah, 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 right? Remember that? Have it your way. McDonald's wouldn't do that. And Burger King gained huge ground because people wanted less sodium. They didn't want salt on stuff, right? Gotta get fries, no salt. Can I get that? Can I get the hamburger plain? So, I actually I used to order, I want to make sure my hamburgers were fresh. And my buddy, I'll just say Mike, you'll know which Mike it is, but you'll know Mike. But I always wanted a fresh made hamburger. We had an open campus for lunch. And to make sure that it was made fresh, I would always order the hamburger with nothing on it but pickles. It would come with pickles, and so no ketchup, no nothing. Just have usually I just think it's pickles, that little bit of diced onion on there, and it came with ketchup and mustard. And I used to get 3 hamburgers, a small fry, and whatever drink. But I wanted them plain, pickles, onion only. But then Mike from Chicago, yes, Mike, who had a birthday 2 weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, he liked ketchup and black pepper on it, and I tried that, and it was phenomenal. So for years and years, I just put ketchup and black pepper, but I always order my hamburgers plain. And I don't really eat it at Burger King anymore, or at least I won't ever admit to. Actually, I haven't eaten at Burger King in a long time. But I always want it fresh. You know what, though? It's kind of when people go in and I'm a little off track here, but we'll go back to if you don't progress, then you starve sometimes, right? If you want fresh fries made, right? You just want fresh fries. Just say, hey, can you make a new batch of fries? Don't tell them you want it without salt and blah, 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 blah. If you don't want salt, that's fine. Just tell them, hey, can I get fries without salt? That's fine. They'll make them for you. But if you just want fresh fries, if you just tell them that, they'll make them for you. McDonald's, wherever. Nothing makes someone angrier behind the counter than when the excuse that you give them or the reason that you want. So you say, hey, I need fries without salt, please. Can I get a fresh batch? And then you turn around and you sprinkle salt on it. That really upsets people. Just tell them you want fresh fries. That's fine. They have to make them anyway. Guaranteed. Right? Or just say, I just like them with less salt. Whatever. Be honest with people behind the counter, behind the glass, right? Just be honest with them. Yeah, fast food. I don't know. I just can't do it anymore. It does not do me good. It doesn't like me, and I don't like it, to be honest with you. When you think about innovation and people who have been able to turn things around, though, who do you think of? What stores have done it right? What fast food companies, or what restaurants in general? Red Lobster didn't. They're pretty much gone. By the way, they've been sold out 6, 7, 8, 10 times in the last decade and a half. I don't even know who owns Darden anymore. Is it Darden? Who else hasn't done well? What are the success stories out there? Payway. Ooh, sorry. Payway didn't do it right. Payway's been bought and sold. I don't know how many times. At least the regional, a lot of the regional divisions have. And I'm telling you, that's one where I was recently in one, maybe 6 or 8 months ago. And Payway was great. So Paul Fleming and his partner, so P.F. Chang's, right? They developed P.F. Chang's. Paul Fleming also started Fleming Steakhouse. Great mind, great restaurateur, great food guy. They started Payway as kind of an offshoot of P.F. Chang's. And I've had this conversation before, but again, they didn't do it right. They started cheapening the ingredients. You used to be able to actually get sriracha, the actual sriracha, rooster sauce, that red chili sauce out of Thailand, and now they have some off-brand. But they advertise. They have the marketing up on this metal bar, this metal contraption. It's a big a lockable. It used to be a lockable case, basically above the ordering counter. Shows sriracha brand red chili sauce, but you can't. That's not what they bring you when you ask for it. And they don't have the bottles out anymore, so you can't self-serve. They bring it to you in a 1 ounce cup, and it's this off-brand, orangish, not very good tasting stuff. False advertising in my mind. And then you stop making one of your signature dishes, which is your egg rolls in-house, which was what a lot of people went there for. And you get these frozen ones now that are gooey inside, and they just, you can't do that. You can't alienate your core clientele, which they wanted an upgrade from places like Panda Express. And then you start bringing in like the CFO from Panda Express, and you start to make dishes which mimic Panda Express. You're never going to be Panda Express because you were built to be something better than that, or something different, a notch up. Nothing wrong with Panda Express. I don't eat there, but nothing wrong with that. Their lemon chicken or orange chicken, whatever that stuff is. I think it's lemon. I don't know. That thing out, it's like 80% of their sales. 80%. They're doing something right. Good or not good, healthy or not healthy, they're doing something right from a financial perspective. So anyway, wow, I've almost burned away 90 minutes of your life talking about food and business and my ideas about expansion, or lack thereof, doing it right, doing it wrong. Anyway, yeah, if you have any, I'm going to go back in here to Facebook, look at some comments, see if anybody brought up any other chains I should be talking about. Oh, by the way, yeah, there's something I want to talk about, traditional Chilean food. I read this article, and I can't believe these are it's 9 traditional Chilean dishes the world needs to know about. So y'all can send in your ideas on who you think did it right or did it wrong. But I want to talk about this. I want to talk about some of these things don't seem very Chilean at all. They seem a little more American, become maybe Chilean. Interesting. Some of these are very Chilean. Some, not so much. Not so much. We'll go backwards. But anyway. 30 seconds left. All right, Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. We got a quick 2-minute break. Come on back. We are going to move into the fourth course of the day. Dessert. Yeah, the sweet spot. Or maybe we'll just talk more about food. I don't know if I'll ever get around to dessert. We already talked about German chocolate cake. Why it's called that. It's German's chocolate cake. Go to Spoony Radio's Facebook page. Look it up. Get the truth. It's not German. Yeah, it's American. Anyway, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Listen or starve.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter at Food Biz Pro.
Got an old car? You can donate it, whether it's running or not, to the United Breast Cancer Foundation and save a life. They'll even come and pick it up for free. The United Breast Cancer Foundation has saved hundreds of women's lives through their free or low-cost breast screen exams. But now they need your help. The United Breast Cancer Foundation wants to save more lives through early detection by offering women free or low-cost breast screening exams. And donating your old car, SUV, or truck, whether it's running or not, helps pay for them. Plus, you get a charitable tax deduction. Help the United Breast Cancer Foundation save lives by donating your old car, SUV, or truck. Call now for free pickup. 800-245-0823. 800-245-0823. 800-245-0823. Call right now. That number again is 800-245-0823.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. That's 800-452-1075.
All right, Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro here. I'm back. Yes, only 30 minutes more. Only 30 minutes more, then you're free for the day. You can go to recess or go back to work, whatever you want. Hey, Greg, how you doing today, buddy? Yes, Greg Cockrum, how you doing? Doesn't matter where you were, Travis. It's all good. Whether it's you were on the Food Biz Pro, Spoony, the one on my page, Patrick Mosher, I don't care. Gay Mosher Towers, my sister, how are you? Good to see you. Randy, how you doing, brother? Can I tell you? Last Tuesday, I did this food competition, participated in the Culinary Fight Club, and, it was really fun, very stressful. Very stressful. But Randy and I had a great talk afterwards. Randy, of course, the host of Into the Fire right here on Spoony Radio. He is, we're going to try and we need to find a day or a better time. He's taking a full-time position, so we need to find a day and a time that we can get him on every week because his show is fantastic and he has a lot to share. He knows a lot of people in the business, and it's very cool stuff going on. So, Richard Brent, I'm watching sorta have a radiation survey to do in Colorado. Well, Richard, be careful. Last time I saw any sort of radiation stuff going on. Hernan Pardo, chef. Saludos desde Chile. Well, hello to you. Glad you're listening. That's awesome. Cool. Very cool. All right. I can't see all the freaking comments. It really pisses me off. Sean, Better Knows Whiskey 6. I need to come hang out with you again soon. Chef Patrick, yes, welcome anytime. Hi, Gay. Nice to see you. That's my sister, Galen. I need to get to Arizona, say hello to everybody pretty soon. All right, so I was just talking about, strategies for growth and some other things pertaining to restaurant kitchens, restaurants, whatnot. Not right now. Okay. Not right now. Thank you, Forbes. I appreciate this. But my business partner and consulting partner, Jeffrey Klein, who is, I'll tell you, he's done, I can't even tell you all the stuff that man's done in his life. He helped found one of the biggest kitchenware. He was one of the main buyers, one of the original buyers for, I won't tell you which one it was. It was not Bed Bath & Beyond, but one of the big kitchenware, tableware, home stores that was established way back when in California. He traveled the world looking for their earthenware and furniture products. He's also a Shidwell. He's a fourth Dan. I think he's Yon Dan or Go Dan, fourth or fifth degree grandmaster of Shotokan Karate. He's one of the original practitioners in the United States. Started way back, before I was born, I think in the early 60s. Jeffrey Klein, you are just a true gentleman, badass, nice guy, and one of my best friends. But he also scours articles from around the world, as many of my friends do. And he sent me this great one. It says, why one restaurant brand is turning to ghost kitchens to grow. And Doghouse, that's Doghaus, partnering with virtual kitchen concept Kitchen United, will nearly double its presence. So I'm going to read this article real quick. So what if I told you 5 years ago that restaurant brands would be eyeing aggressive expansion without the real estate piece? Mm-hmm. Sounds a bit confusing, doesn't it? That's a pretty critical detail after all. But because of this, the staggering growth of off-premise demand, here we are. Welcome to the era of ghost kitchens, concepts that exist completely online or leverage shared kitchen spaces for delivery and carry-out only business. These commissary-like kitchens started popping up around 2015 in New York City, but ran into some regulatory issues. They were operating without a permit or inspections. The storefrontless concepts have since become far more legitimate, actually flying on the radar now behind fast-growing companies like Kitchen United, Cloud Kitchens, and Second Kitchen. So if you don't know what a commissary kitchen is, so a commissary kitchen is a single kitchen which feeds multi-units, all right? Universal Studios, for instance, as the chef there, Universal Studios had one commissary kitchen, all right? This commissary kitchen was located just above the theme park, or it was kind of in the theme park, but still above it in the middle of the hill, and it fed two things, the 20 or 30 concepts in the theme park that were owned and operated by Universal Studios, but it also fed the City Walk concepts, which were owned and operated by Universal Studios, such as Gladstone's for Fish, which Gladstone's original restaurant was it's in Malibu. It's been there forever, geez, I don't know, 30, 40 years. And their phone number was actually Gladstone's, the number 4, FISH. That's how you dialed them, right? And so they opened a second location at Universal Studios in City Walk. They didn't want to operate it anymore, so City Walk took over Universal Studios. And there were a bunch of operations there. There was a little Wasabi, which was a sushi place next door. They owned and operated the House of Blues, was actually operated by them there, although it was owned by House of Blues, operated by them. And then I think Buco de Beppo, there were a bunch of concepts there that were operated, although either under license or in conjunction with the other restaurant concepts. So that is commissary kitchen. What did they do at the commissary kitchen? Well, they made all the sauces, all the soups, not all, but most. Those things were made in the commissary kitchen. So I'll give you an idea. For Gladstone's, which was a concept which had already been around for decades before the one at Universal Studios opened up, and before they took over, they would make our marinara sauce. They made our mashed potatoes, right? They made, and when I say mashed potatoes, like they had they had these big cook chill units, and a cook chill unit worked by having it was like a 200 or probably more than 400, 500 gallon steam jacketed kettle, which had these big blades with rubber scrapers on them, which rotated. So they'd put these potato, Simplot is a company that makes these potato slices. They'd throw those in there, add X amount of water, and cook them in this steam jacketed kettle, which was basically it's a kettle that has a second kettle that's bigger around it, that's sealed, and steam is injected between those two surfaces as a cooking medium. That way you don't burn stuff. Yes, you can still kind of burn it, but it keeps stuff from burning virtually. It's good for making soups, sauces, things like that, and other things that take a long time to cook traditionally, but you need a gentle, indirect cooking heat source. So, but then what would happen is when this stuff was done cooking, it was pumped out through the bottom into 5-gallon bags, right? Actually, they're 5-gallon bags. And then those bags were sealed and they were tossed into it's called a chill unit. This chill unit looks like a giant front load dryer. It's built just like a dryer, except what happens when you get all the bags in there, right? And the bags are very thin, clear poly bags. Then you would inject cold ice water in there, and it would tumble them until they're cold, which really was quick because they're moving through this constantly circulated ice water. Then they would chill very quickly, and that would preserve the integrity. Then they were taken out, labeled with a batch label, put on pallets, and they were shipped wherever they needed to go. So the marinara sauce now in the theme park for whatever, I forgot what the name of the pasta themed restaurant we had, a little Italian restaurant there, was the same as the marinara sauce for us at the Gladstones, right? And the Alfredo sauce was the same. So those big batch recipes, instead of us having to do it in-house, was done elsewhere. That's a commissary kitchen. I'll give you another example. When I was a partner and we were building, as culinary director for Hubble and Hudson Market and Bistro in Houston, north of Houston, the Woodlands. And it's basically a gourmet retail store. So it's kind of like Whole Foods meets Dean and DeLuca. If you don't know what Dean and DeLuca is, look it up. It's a very tiny, they're not tiny, but they're pretty small footprint, really high-end gourmet retail stores that had a mixture of retail products and yes, the Gladstones in Malibu has the best clam chowder ever. Yep. And not only that, their fish chowder was the best. But we used to make this brown sort of chowder that was made and is. It was a brown. It's like a seafood chowder that had little bass scallops and other chunks of random parts of fish. Now that one we made in house because we had all these fish scraps left over at the end of the day. We butchered our own fish, but I digress. So back to this commissary kitchen. When we were building the store, it was going to cost about $7 million to build this grocery store. It's 20,000 square feet. Had a hanging it had this mezzanine that hung out over the store. It was only supported on one side as far as you could see. It was a Viking-sponsored cook school that had like 11 stations in there. And behind that, it had a banquet. It was more like a boardroom with this really nice table, but basically you would do cooking lessons there. It was all Viking cooking stations. They're beautiful. And then you'd go back there and you'd have a meal and discuss things. Very, very cool. And Kerry Attar was the CEO and president and the founder of the company, and it was his brainchild. Former general manager of the Central Market, H-E-B's Central Market in Houston, which at that time was the top grossing gourmet retail store in the United States, doing about, at that time they were doing just under $100 million. I think they probably do $120 or $125 million today. It's ridiculous. But anyway, we were building this store, and we had a commissary. We had a kitchen, a production kitchen in the back, right? So this production kitchen was just designed to serve our, it was twofold. Part of the production was for our bistro next door. So we would batch make some sauces, not many, but some things for them. But it was a real nice, nicely designed French-style kitchen the chef Adel Gonçalves, this amazing, French-born Portuguese young man who's still a great culinary force in Houston, and still partners with Carrie Attar. Amazing menu, but he also ran the production kitchen, and we had a full bakery back there. Patrice Ribière was the baker, and what an amazing pastry and a pastry chef and baker he is and was. And anyway, so we had this full production bakery, we had this full production kitchen, but we're only supplying a very small, maybe 25 linear foot of counter space where we would have our we would make some fresh mozzarella cheeses. And Terry, how can I not remember your last name? Terry was our head of the cheese department. Phenomenal young man, who also came from Central Market. But anyway, so we had this very small counter space that we needed to feed, and we had decided we got an inside tip on if you live in Texas, you know who they are. It's the Black Walnut Cafes. So at that time, we had a tip that they were for sale. We were able to pick up 3 locations basically for the debt owed, and that was the one in the Woodlands, Texas. There was one in Sugar Land, Texas, and one in Rice Village in Texas. Now, if you live in Texas now, you'll know there are, 20 locations, maybe 30. I don't know. I got out before the expansion, unfortunately. I was not the brightest bulb in the bunch. So, someday I'll look back and not be upset at myself for that. But anyway, the reason we did this, right, is that there was enough money in those 3 restaurants and the expansion potential for those to feed the build out, to kind of underwrite the build out for the not fully, but a lot of the cost of the build out would be funded by the profit from those restaurants. Now, we could make the restaurants more profitable by turning our production kitchen into a commissary kitchen. So what we did, we started making the sauces and the pastas fresh instead of buying dried. We made the gelatos, instead of making gelatos in one store in the Woodlands, or maybe I think that was the only place we made them. We moved those gelato machines to the production kitchen, made them there, and then as the concept grew just in the city, shipped the gelatos to each of those stores, and then as things expanded to the other stores once a week or twice a week, and then I'm not sure how they do it now because I'm sure they have multiple kitchens now that feed the entire brand, but I don't know that for sure because I'm no longer part of that, but that was the idea. So these commissary kitchens are key to expansion and growth, and that's something I didn't talk about earlier. But now you have restaurant concepts, these food service concepts that have no kitchen at all in any of their locations, right? So what's the draw? Well, there's a few things. There's a notoriously high number of restaurants that fail in their first year. They have the wrong location. So having the wrong location is one of the first things, right? Location for any business is always location, especially restaurants. But if, however, you're able to get off the ground and stay there, right? Occupancy costs. This is just like your fixed overhead as far as rent and any sort of CAMs, the common area maintenance. These fixed set costs every week or every month that you have to do. Oh, and Kent Cottle earlier said, let them have their cake and eat it too. Yes, sir. Today you can have your cake and eat it too. It is National German Chocolate Day, Chocolate Cake Day, which should be National German's Chocolate Cake Day, but it's German. National German Chocolate Cake Day. Go to Spoony Radio's Facebook page, look up the recipe. There's a link right there to the original German's chocolate cake from the Baker's Chocolate Company, and enjoy. It's my treat. I'm not buying. I just found the recipe for you. So when you think about the occupancy costs can be up to 6 to 10% of the restaurant's gross sales, and they can put an unending squeeze on an already thin margins. Yes, the average restaurant makes 7% gross, 7%, 6 actually now I think, 6% gross margin. So for every $100 sold, you make 6% before taxes. Before taxes, not after, before taxes. Now, fixed cost. So this fixed overhead, the monthly occupancy fees, right? That's just the cost to be in the space. That's not electricity, anything else. Just occupancy fees. Typically range from 6 to 10%. But if you get above 9%, I almost guarantee that every single time unless you're a fast food restaurant that's already established and you've bought a franchise that's really successful, almost every single time you'll fail. If you get above 9%, you're dead in the water. Ideally, you want to be around 6 to 7%. You get above 7%, you're never going to really make any money. If you have investors, there's a good chance that they will or will not be paid back. More than likely, they won't, and you're paying interest forever and ever and ever on money borrowed, because money is very expensive nowadays to borrow for restaurants, right? So that's number one. Ghost kitchens take away that burden, right? They enable brands to grow in new markets with far less capital, and here's how. It's twofold. You need less space. 30 to 40% of it's about 40%. 60% is what we call service area. So that's the dining room. And then 40% is typically the restrooms plus the production area. Not to mention that the kitchen is the most expensive asset to build, right? To build out a simple kitchen can cost you $30,000+, a simple one. To build out a kitchen, say, like Iron Chef Morimoto has, we'll say that in plain English, Morimoto has in New York, could be as high as $2 million. Now, is that necessary? No. You don't absolutely have to have that, but that's what a chef of that caliber typically requests. So think about that. That's $2 million for a kitchen before you've ever received any monies. The rest of the restaurant, we built a Morimoto restaurant in Bangkok. My partner and I, Jeffrey Klein. As a matter of fact, Jeffrey, you did 80% of the work or 90% of the work. But it's the most beautiful restaurant that I think the two of us have ever worked on. Look it up, Morimoto Bangkok. A beautiful, beautiful designed restaurant. Closed in 2 years. Why? Not enough income, too much overhead. But the restaurant was built at a really reasonable price, about $1.3 million. That's you can't do that anywhere. Might have been 1.8 by the time everything was full in, but it was 1.3. But that was a minimum $2.3 million restaurant we built for $1 million, under cost. But still, the overhead was too big. Didn't have enough seats, not enough traffic, and ultimately it didn't work. And it had nothing to do with the food or the quality or the caliber of the celebrity chef behind that concept. Just the cash flow wasn't there, right? So if you take away that upfront cost, right? So say that you build a restaurant for $1 million, but you take away the core cost of, 60% of the restaurant cost is typically the kitchen. On average, even though it's only 40% of the space. And a lot of times you try to squeeze it to 30% of the overall footprint because you can fit more diners in. That's where they spend their money. You produce the food in the back, they eat it in the front. That's where they buy from. So you want a small footprint in the back of the house. If you take that completely away, then, oh man, I hate these stupid pop-ups. Let's go back one. Hey, there we go. Okay. So, if you can take away that cost to begin with fully from the onset, you're way ahead of the game. So if you were going to spend $1 million to spend a restaurant, you take $600,000 of that away. There you go. Or what if you take it away completely? What if these are delivery-only restaurants that never need a storefront? Now you've just taken away all rent. You use a common area, a common kitchen that's a commissary that, that produces for multiple restaurants. It's crazy. All right, so they don't just take away the burden of the occupancy costs, right? Delivery. Let's talk about delivery alone. The delivery segment. It was a delivery segment of the food service industry with $30 billion in 2017. $30 billion. That's $30 billion on 1 million restaurants. Okay? $30 billion. So let's see. I don't even know if my calculator goes that high. We're going to go 30 billion. Okay, 30, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's 30 billion divided by 1 million equals, that's $30,000 on average per location, right? Yes, I did that in my head first, but I want to make sure it wasn't wrong. $30,000 per location. Okay. Now, they're saying that the delivery segment by 2020, I think they're a little off here. I think they're a little high, could be $220 billion by 2020. I think you're looking at, if it was $30 billion in 2017, you're probably looking at $70 to $100 billion by 2020. Why? Because we like to dine out less. We like the same quality food. We'd rather dine in, though. So current delivery sales current delivery of overall sales is 3% of the restaurant industry as a whole. Morgan Stanley points to a future where delivery accounts for nearly 30 to 40% of industry sales. Now, I think that's high. I think you're looking at 10 to 15%. But again, if it's 3 to 4% right now, and it's $30 billion, right back where I said, if it's 7 to 10%, that's $70 to $100 billion a year. That's crazy. What does that mean? Well, it means a lot. It means that these traditional brick and mortar, these storefronts, the pad site, the standalone restaurant, the one at the end cap, or anywhere in those strip malls, that those are going to start going away. We're going to have more and more people have their food delivered. We already see it with the millennial generation, not to mention Gen Z, right? Gen Z is the same way. They go out for social reasons, but if they can eat in the comfort of their own home and have the same quality food, why would you go out? Especially if the cost factor is the same, right? Time is money. Time is the new money, especially for the younger generations. So we're looking at, the brick and mortar brands might have to contend with new competitive set, which is called these virtual kitchens. I think it's fascinating. Anyway, I'm gonna link to this article. Well, we'll give you one example. Doghouse, right? It's a gourmet doghouse sausage, hot dog, sausage, and burger concept founded in 2010. They've committed to 25 Kitchen United locations. That's these virtual kitchens, right? These commissary kitchens in 10 markets across the country by the end of 2020. The first will open this month in Chicago's River North neighborhood. Oh, very nice area, by the way. There are currently 35 Doghouse locations open, so this growth strategy is significant for the brand. They're going to nearly double its presence in the next couple of years. In the next 2 years, they're looking to open another 35 locations. That's crazy. It's nuts. I mean, for them, it's a no-brainer. Right now, 15% of their Doghouse overall business is 15% of their business. So off-premise delivery is about 15% of their overall business, with some locations generating as much as 50% of their sales through delivery and carryout. That's crazy. 50%. Anyway. And that's just a hot dog place, right? To build their kitchen is probably $25,000 to $30,000. But think about that, $25,000 to $30,000 per location. Well, the whole rest of the restaurant probably costs that much, so you've just cut your cost in half. So now, all you have to do in those locations, it basically becomes a garnish and serve. And if you can up the delivery portion and get rid of storefronts altogether, even better. Anyway, well, folks, 3 minutes left in the day. You've burned another 2 hours. Listen to me talk about food, hopefully some fun. Yeah, and some recipes. Let's look up the obscure food term of the day. Right, I'm going to close my eyes. I have no idea what I'm going to get today. See if I can. Now, jalapeno chili. I know what that is. Jagging wheel. I know what a jagging wheel is. It's also known as a pastry wheel, right? A jagging wheel is, you know what? I'm going to guess jagging wheel. It's, no, that's a docker. All right, a jagging wheel is going to have a scalloped edge. It looks like a pizza cutter, but it's got a scalloped edge on it. So as you go along, it gives you that edge. I'm going to look that up real quick. I could be wrong, but let's see. Pastry wheel. Dun da da da. Here we go. Pastry cloth. Pastry wheel. A small utensil consisting of sharp cutting wheel attached to a handle. Small pastry wheels with plain cutting edges are used to mark or cut rolled out dough. Larger plain edge wheels are for cutting pizza. Hey, jagged wheels or pastry jaggers have fluted edges that cut a... Dang, I got one right. I got one right. Here's one I didn't know, though. Jalousie. Not jealousy. Jalousie. A small cake made with flaky pastry, filled with a layer of almond paste topped with jam. A lattice pastry topping allows the colorful jam filling to show. That sounds pretty good. I'll try and make one of those. By the way, almond paste. Ooh, almond paste. Way underutilized in American culinary, I'm telling you. It's one of my favorite. What's the... what's the stuff they make in at Christmas time in Germany and other? Oh my gosh, it's just almond paste and nothing. It's just got powdered sugar in it, and they shape it into marzipan. Marzipan. Auf Deutsch heißt es Marzipan. Das ist aber lecker. Schmeckt gut. Marzipan. Marzipan is like one of my favorite desserts of all time. I don't like it so much plain, but it is. It's just almond paste and powdered sugar, and they shape in all sorts of little cool animals and stuff. But the Ritter Sport chocolate company, Ritter, oh my gosh. I don't know who owns them, but they're a Swiss German chocolate company. They make these ones, little squares. They all have different stuff in them. Some are hazelnut. But that one that has a little marzipan in each one, brilliant. Just saying. All right, folks, I've wasted another, not waste, you know what? I spent another 2 hours of your time listening to to Chef Patrick Mosher talk about food, fun. Hopefully give some ideas. Look, go make some German chocolate cake, boil some corn. Y'all have a good day. Eat some darn good hot dogs. Remember, Nathan's Famous, my favorite hot dog ever. 1, have some corn, have some dogs. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget to join in. 1 o'clock Central. See you tomorrow. Oh, no, I won't. Bye.